Hi there, my name is Mikhail and I'm an Android developer with 4 years of experience. Today we're gonna learn about Jetpack Compose, we're gonna start learning about it, and I'm going to continue these videos and make new videos about Jetpack Compose to give you all the information about this amazing UI framework. And so it's a UI framework that it's now replacing the XML. I think you know that before Jetpack Compose, we wrote all our UI on XML, and so then connected XML to Kotlin or Java code and used it there. So now we're writing all our UI on Kotlin, and so connecting it to view model, connecting it to repositories, our database repositories connected to view model, and view model connected to our view. So now our view is in activity, our UI is in activity basically, and we can see it. Let's create a new project, empty activity with Jetpack Compose icon, and then I give it a name for my project. For example, it will be Jetpack Compose first app, first application. Then I click finish and let the Android Studio do all the stuff, do all the work to create a new project, to create a new Android project. So we see here our main activity that extends a component activity that before we were extending the app component activity when we were working with XML. Now we extend component activity. Then we have set content function where we pass a where we pass a lambda function, a Kotlin lambda function, and then we have Jetpack Compose first app theme. This is a function. This is a composable function. First of all, let's talk about a bit about composable functions because this is a basics of our Jetpack Compose. Every element, every UI element on our screen in Jetpack Compose is a composable function. It's not a class now. So before when we had XML, we had a view for our new view. For example, text view. Text view has its own Java class. And now every UI element has its own composable function in Kotlin that is named starting with the big letter. For example, here it's greeting function, and it's a composable function. I can, of course, I can pass some elements. So it's a basic Kotlin function with annotation composable that it marks it. So now it's a UI element that I can use in my UI structure. And so here it's using the text. And if you look down to the text, if you look inside to the text, we can see that it's composable too, and it's placed in the Android X Compose Material 3. So it's a source of it's a source of Jetpack Compose. And here we have modifier. What is modifier? In XML, we had Android layout width, layout height, Android text color, for example, and other arguments. And all these stuff are modifiers. So we have an interface called modifier that now we can modify our elements. We can give them a width, a height, and many other stuff. And so here a color, we can also pass color, font size, font style, font weight, font family, letter spacing, and many other parameters. What we can see here, we can see our preview function. So the preview function, we need to preview our Jetpack Compose UI. It's also a composable function, but it's also preview function. And then we click here on split. And if we build our project for the first time, it takes some time, but then we will see our preview. Let's see, yes, I can make it bigger. And I can see my greeting preview that has a name of my function. So for example, if I rename my function to greeting preview 1, I can see greeting preview 1 that is a preview. Or for example, if I remove this preview, I don't see the preview at all. So this is a huge feature. This is an amazing feature in Jetpack Compose to create new previews, because in XML, officially we have only one preview for our one XML file, but here we can create as many preview functions as we want to. For example, I could create a new preview function. For example, I can call it preview1, and I can see it here, right here, down to the greeting preview. I have greeting preview 1, and it could be very helpful for my designing my UI and debugging it, and so seeing how it works, seeing how it's placed. Let's see, let's look a bit into my main activity. Here I have Jetpack Compose first up theme, where inside it I can pass dark theme, dynamic color, and content. So dark theme and dynamic color, it's a new feature for Android 14 for dynamic colors that are used in wallpapers and other apps for, oh sorry, it's not for Android 14, it's for Android 12 and up. Uh, and so content is a lambda function, Kotlin lambda function that is also marked with annotation composable. So it's a composable, it's an UI element. And inside this composable function, I can place my screen. I can place my screen that will be called when I open my main activity. And here I place surface. Surface is a view group. So surface is a view group, is a composable, for example. And here I can place as many elements as I want. If we see, I have here a box. So a box is a simple frame layout, for example, um, that we have in XML. We can also pass here a modifier, a shape, color, content color, tonal elevation, shadow elevation, and it has many helpful parameters. But what I have to pass a content that is also a composable. And here I pass a content that it's greeting function, and then I pass here an Android. It's a string, it's a simple string. And my composable function greeting is here. So that's a new advantage of Jetpack Compose, that I create my UI elements simply by creating a new Kotlin functions and naming them and giving them an annotation composable. And so inside them, I can create everything that I want literally. So I can create, for example, a new text here, a new text hello name, or it could be hello Android. And what I see is that my hello Android is on the hello name, so I don't see the hello name. Let's replace here, let's place the surface and the greeting to a new composable, create a new function that's called main screen, and it will be a main screen. So now I can use it here. I can call it like a basic function, and also I can place it here to my preview. I can place it here, I can call it main screen. And then I see a huge screen that it's basically a phone screen, because I have surface and it has a modifier fill max size, so it feels it's like a match parent and match parent. Also, it has a modifier fill max width or fill max height. And here I can pass a fraction. So if I want to for example, fill on the half of the height, I can place half f. So by default, I want to have a fill max size, and here I have it like this. So what I can see that my hello Android is on my hello name, and I don't see it. For example, I can write here hello YouTube, and then I see it like this, that my hello YouTube is it's on the hello Android, because by default Jetpack Compose is a box. It has a box, and surface is a box, so it places elements one on another, one upper on another. So my hello YouTube now is on the hello Android. How I can place them in a column or in the row, you can ask me, and I will answer with you that I have composables for this. I have composable row and I have composable column. But we don't have composables, for example, linear layout that we had in XML. We had a linear layout orientation vertical with linear layout orientation horizontal. And for example, in Jetpack Compose, we have row and column. I can call a column, can create a column, and here I need to pass a composable function, and here I have two texts. Here I place two my texts, and yep, I have them. So what I do next, I can see inside my column function that it's an inline function. It's also a composable. Of course, it's in a composable function because I can see it on my preview. That means that it's an UI element, and so I can pass there a modifier, a vertical arrangement, a horizontal alignment, and a content. Uh, let's talk a bit about horizontal arrangement and vertical alignment. For example, let's place a text, one text and one button in the center of my screen. So I can create a new text with text, for example, hello Android. Hello Android. Then I can pass some modifiers, for example, font size. And font size I can pass, for example, 20 sp. And that's a way how I can pass an sp or dp. So I write an integer value and then pass sp. If I look here, I have a extension. So I have an extension sp. So it's integer.sp, integer.am. Or for example, I can search for dp, and here it's yes, because it's text unit. So if I replace for and have a dp, I can look here, and here I have dp inline variable int.dp. But for text size, for font size, I need to use sp, or I can use am, but no, I can use sp. Okay, and then I want to pass here a button. A button, if we look here, we can see that we have to pass two mandatory parameters that are on click and content. So the content is a lambda function. What's the content of my button? So to my button, inside my button, I can put literally everything. Because in XML into my button, I was able to put only text and one drawable or two drawables on the left and on the right. But now I can put to my button everything that I want: images, text, linear, I don't know, rows, columns, and literally everything that I want. But we can see here that it's a composable row scope dot lambda function. So it's an extension. It's automatically an extension of row. So all things that I place here inside this composable content function are placed in a row, and I will see it in a moment. And also I need to pass here a lambda function on click. So what happens on click on this button? For example, I can set nothing can happen on when I click on my button. And then here I need to pass a text that will be a content of this button. For example, I can write click me, and when I place another text, click me too, I see that it's in a row. So let's remove this and make it look like this. And then I need to pass, then I want to place them in the center of my screen. How can I do that? I can do that in a simple way. Here in my surface, I can create a new column and create a modifier for this. Pass a modifier, And here I need to set fill max size so it will fill the surface size, max size of my screen. And then I need to set vertical arrangement, arrangement center, and horizontal alignment, alignment center horizontally. So you can realize that the row, here I have a column, but the row has an has an has a horizontal arrangement and vertical alignment. So here I need to pass my greeting, but let's rename a function, this function. So I want to have it like I want to have it like text and button. It's not a good name, but now we don't care. So yeah, we placed it in the center of our screen. And now I want to place it exactly in the center that my button will be in the center of this text, to the center of this text. And here I can write in my column, I can write horizontal alignment, center horizontally. And now it's all good. So my button is in the center, my text is in the center of all of my whole column. And so I have a bigger column inside my surface. What I can do next, I can give my button some padding from top. So how I can make that? I can pass modifier, and then padding. And now I can pass or padding horizontal, or padding vertical, or padding start, top, end, and bottom, or padding for all. So I can write all, and for example, 20 dp. But here I need to import this value. Here I see 20 dp, but I don't want it to be for all. I want it to be only from the top. So it will be a padding from my button. And then let's look on other thing, on very interesting thing in Jetpack Compose. And it's about the state. So now we need to compare Jetpack Compose to XML. I've done it before in this video, but now we need to compare them in the vision of using it in our phone. So when I have button and text, and when I click on my button, I want to replace a text in my text view or in my text in Jetpack Compose. In XML, I need to write a button on click listener, so set on click listener, and then text view dot set text pam. But here I can use button on click, and then my text has a state. So what is basically a state? We have states also in our life. For example, I have a MacBook here, and so if I place now my MacBook is turned on, and it's on the table, it's on my table, so it's his state for now. But if I put it on my bed, his state will be changed. So his state will be, it will be still turned on, but it will be on my bed, not on my table. So his state was changed. And so when my state, when the state of my element, of my UI element in Jetpack Compose was changed, Jetpack Compose do recomposition. It does recomposition, so it redraws the elements that has been changed. For now, for example, I want to change the text in this button. So I need to create a new state value, a new state variable, and give it a state for this hello Android. I can create var text state by, so I use delegation here, and I use a remember function. I will tell in a moment what is a remember function, and then I use here a mutable state of hello Android. Or for example, it will be state 1, like this. I need to import the remember operator. And here I have mutable state of. The mutable state of tells us that I can edit this state. So we have mutables and we have immutables. So our mutable state of means that I can edit this state, I can change this state, I can change the state of this button. And why I use here the remember function? The remember function I use here because every time that I have recomposition, my Jetpack Compose reduce redoes all this stuff, all this code. And so if I have a recomposition, that my state will be recreated. But I want it to be but I don't want it to happen. And so I can use a remember operator that says to Jetpack Compose that in the case of recomposition, please don't recreate me. Save me that I like I was before. So when my state changes, for example, I click on the button and my state changes from state 1 to state 2, then my Jetpack Compose do the recomposition and and he doesn't recreate the text size. So if he recreates a text size, a text state, so the text state will be again state 1, but we don't want it to be happened. We don't want it to happen, and so we use remember. So when we change our state from state 1 to state 2, Jetpack Compose do all the recomposition, but our state stays like state 2 that we changed it. And here I need to set text state the okay. And so because I use here by and it's a delegation, that's why my text state is a string. If I place here, for example, a value that it's int, that it will be an int, an integer. But I want to use a string here. And so in my on click of my button, I put the following code. I put the code text state. So I change my state to, for example, state 2. And let's run an application. Let's run our application and see what happens. So what needs to be happened is that I run my application, then I see the button. Yes, I see the button. I see the text, and I click on the button, and my text state changes to state 2. Jetpack Compose does the recomposition, but it doesn't recreate the state and it doesn't change it again to state 1. It sees that we have remember, and it says, okay, you have remember, you have state 2. I don't touch it. So I click, I have state 2. My state didn't change, so I changed the state, and when recomposition happened, my state didn't change. That's what I want. And for example, now I can do the following. I can create a mutable state of 1, and here I can write, for example, not text says, I can write like this, state, and here text state, like this, without these braces. And here I can write mutable. Okay, so it says me that I can use mutable in state of. Okay, so mutable state of is for our other objects, and for in state we have another variable, another function. And here I can put an increment operator, so I can increment my text state, and now I can see now I should see the state 1, state 2, state 3, and so on and so forth. So state 1, state 2, state 3, state 4, state 5, state 6, state 7, and so I can click it to the infinity. That doesn't matter right now. And what matters is that I see that my text changes. For example, I can create another state, button state, that is also using remember, uh, and then it will be mutable state of click me, click me, and this state will be for the button, for our text in our button, so button state, and when we click our button, we will change the state to clicked For example, text state times. And now let's run our application again and see what happens. So we see click me state 1, clicked 2 times, state 3, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on and so forth. So state 10, clicked 10 times, so our state changes every time we click on our button. And you can think and realize that in our state we can basically save every value that we want to save there. So it's all for today. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for being with me right now. And if you like this video, please put a like on the channel. Please put a like on the video, subscribe on the channel, write a comment what you want to see in the next videos, and we'll see you in the next video.